We filmed a spec ad in conjunction with Fujifilm on the GFX100 II as our A and B and C cam. We did all our behind the scenes on the GFX100 II as well. And we really wanted to showcase just how versatile it is, because a lot of people don't think a medium format video camera would be good enough to do certain projects. So I really wanted the opportunity to test this in a real world scenario and see how it went. Let's talk about the low light capability of a camera like the GFX100 II. I have been using this camera for over a year now since it launched, and kind of by accident, I figured out that the low light performance was a bit better than what people were aware of. I remember taking the camera one morning to my run club and there was no light anywhere. And I remember not being able to see anything on the back of the screen. The histogram showed nothing. You know, I was at 3200 ISO, I believe, which this camera has a base ISO of 800 for f-log2. I was quite shocked at just how clean even running at 1600, 3200 ISO was. So I really wanted to see how much light can we really get away with not using on a project like this, and really push the envelope with keeping it really, really minimal. The first scene is of our protagonist, Terry, who's driving around and his Land Cruiser breaks down. So we wanted this to be really, really basically lit, very low light. It's implying that he's driving in the middle of the night in a remote location with no ambient light. So I think the only practical lighting we used was one miniature Parvo tube, which is, you can buy them. I'm using one for this blue light. It's a bigger one, but it's a small light. And we just wanted to use the practical lights in the car, which were, you can imagine, very, very low intensity dials, especially in older cars that don't have a lot of intensity. So as far as the planning went, we knew we had headlights, we had one Parvo tube that we could use, and we had gauges, and we had a phone. That was literally the 4 or 5 things that we knew that we wanted to use at a maximum. That's scary as a filmmaker because, you know, you kind of use lighting as a crutch, because the more polished you want to be, the more you have to kind of bring everything into this beautiful look and feel and everything. So, you know, I thought, nah, let's just keep it really simple. For example, we shot a scene, we had Terry driving his car, we had a fat gecko mount with just the camera, we just set focus and we drove. But we shot at nighttime. All we had was moonlight for ambience, if that. I think we had a bit of cloud cover. So you can imagine it's very dark. I think we shot at 3200 ISO and we accidentally shot in the standard Provia profile. So we didn't even shoot in f-log2. So that's another thing that shocked me. I'd like to know whether you could actually notice which shots were shot in Provia versus f-log2 and graded separately, but we accidentally did that and I don't think it looked bad at all, which was another shocking thing. A lot of the scenes we had when he broke down were filmed in pure darkness. So we only had that Parvo light and we were shooting at 1600, 3200 ISO, which should be noisy, and yet they are clean as anything. I have found with Fujifilm cameras that even when you have noise, it's so easily cleaned up because it's such a natural looking grain. It looks like film, and I think that Fujifilm has some of the nicest and most complementary noise that you can get, because I would be happy to shoot 6400 ISO at this point, or even higher. Not that you need to, because I'll just touch on the fact that we only used Fujifilm glass as well. So we didn't use cinema lenses, we didn't use the fastest lenses available. We had the 55mm 1.7, which we used, but aside from that, we were using things like the 23mm f4. So I'm filming at f4, it's not very wide. We were using the 45 to 100 f4. We used the 250 f4, but that was in daylight. So you're getting the gist. We didn't even have the fastest lenses, but I will say this. The GF glass from Fujifilm continues to shock me with just how good it looks. We shot the workshop scene, which was also really low light. We were constantly using 1600, 3200 ISO again, no dramas. As you can see, the footage is super, super clean. I have no qualms in using ISOs up to 3200, 6400. They clean up super nice. I'm very confident that I could go out and film basically in the dark and the blacks remain super, super clean and the image just looks world class. You need to get your hands on a Fujifilm GFX100 II because it will change the way you look at filmmaking, as it has me, and it will really challenge what you think is possible with a camera like this, what you think is possible with lighting and how big of a team you need. It is a game changer. Don't sleep on the GFX100 II. It is an absolute monster for low light and for filmmaking.